one day I was out, and about a mile up the road, I saw this truck in a garage, and I said to my wife, I said, "Oh, that's a Graham Brothers." So all of a sudden it got moved out. It was out on the side of the road for sale. I stopped, and it was a 26 Graham Brothers. It's not listed on as a Graham Brothers truck, and the Graham Brothers listing, it's listed as a Dodge commercial vehicle.
Wow.
The serial number falls in, it was made in January of 1926, but it's listed as a Dodge commercial vehicle. Wow. And not a Graham Brothers, for whatever reason.
Fred's truck is it's a special vehicle to him. I've really never seen another one, you know, another Graham Brothers truck. Of course, those came right before Dodge, but just a unique vehicle that you don't see. And, you know, it looks like a lot of cars from the 20s, cars and trucks from the 20s, but when you get up close to it and you start to see the differences, and the intrigue comes out a little bit of what that thing has been through.
I've found bits of coal in the cab, and I understand, because it has a tilt bed, I understand it was probably used by a coal company to move coal around in North Jersey.
They probably were trying to figure out how to be one company.
I was going to say, were they switching over?
Well, that's why, yeah, because it became the Dodge Heavy Truck Division. Mm. And if you look at it has a Graham Brothers differential and hubs, but the engine is Dodge.
Yeah, it's that real transition year then, isn't it? It was really kind of in between the two.
And then 26 was the last year of the 12-volt negative ground, or positive ground.
I remember coming into work one day, and it was just here. It was sitting over in the shed, and I you know, kind of walked around it. First time I'd ever seen one in person, so it was a lot to take in. You know, I realized, obviously, as a 1926, it's not anything, you know, anything like you see today.
That windshield wiper looks kind of Mickey Mouse, doesn't it?
Well,
a little bit.
You know.
I mean, they're always fun back in this area. You know, on the Model Ts, you got a little lever inside. You know, so you want to wipe the windshield, you get your hand up and get working.
This is Uptown. This is vacuum operated.
Yeah, she's a vacuum operator, right?
But the baling wire there holding the wiper blade to the arm. Yeah. So this truck has a combination starter generator on it, but if the starter generator were to go bad, you'd remove the license plate, and then there's a bung plug that you unwind out of the front of the engine, and then you stab this big crank in there and, you know, hand crank it over.
Yeah. They just expect you to have to add water here, right? You know, they're ready to go. You don't have to unscrew it. That's nice. Fred had this truck for a number of years, and it always ran, but just progressively started to have problems here and there. And Fred almost lit it on fire, the battery under the seat, you know, things like that, and you know, just trying to make sure that this thing was fun for him as he was getting a little older, and making sure that he could enjoy it. So getting it prepared was for me more about making it a safe vehicle for him.
I think what we ought to do is go ahead and section this nut, you know, just cut it with a zip wheel,
yeah,
to release the tension on whatever threads are on this manifold still.
Yeah.
We'll just chip those pieces off.
That's a big deal. These old manifolds, so the exhaust gases all collect here and then go down this pipe, and these nuts threaded on. So these are, you know, 100-year-old threads that are just falling apart from the heat cycling of the manifold. So, you know, trying to replace the muffler that's leaking down past it's a little bit of a chore, because this is unobtainium. You know, at this point,
yeah.
That is made out of unobtainium, as we say.
I knew I had one bad cylinder. He said, okay, let's get going. And we took the heads off and saw daylight for the valves, so we knew we weren't going to be able to grind it. So we got all new valves and other components, rebuilt it, got it back together, took it out for a 10-mile drive. He said, be back over here at 5:30 Sunday morning. I said, for what?
We realized it'd be fun to take this to the hill climb and have that experience, tying that together and really thinking about what else we should do to make sure that it was in peak, you know, Formula One race car standards. So a couple interesting things on a truck like this. You've got some original gauges here, speedo, and the speedometer was a coil type here, oil pressure, amps, original key switch, and that would have been the headlights as part of the key switch integrated there. 4-speed, reverse up, first, second, third, 3-speed. Handbrake, that's the speedometer cable, disconnected. We gotta address that somehow, Jake. Something's going on, that's disconnected for a reason. Accelerator pedal, brake, clutch, kind of the standard layout, starter button up there. Controls for the hydraulic lift, and ready to go. So this is the first Dodge truck. You know, before Dodge made cars, Graham Brothers made trucks.
Right.
First Dodge truck, why not?
Here it
Let's
is,
take it up the hill.
Very first Ram.
Part of the hill climb fun for me is getting the car there. You know, we could make the choice to trailer them, but driving them over from Illinois is a fun day and an experience that's pretty special to kind of reconnect with those vehicles over a number of hours. We'll give it a little shot. We'll get out in the country and try it some more. But if it can't get some good speed going, we'll load it on the trailer, because these two can definitely go.
Yeah, the Willys, like I said, it's happy. I mean, it's not getting hot at all, and there's plenty of pedal
You've got
left.
a little bit of wheel wiggle in that all around. Bob's is just dead true.
Yeah.
I mean, we did a good job changing the tires on that. It's funny, with the cars of this age, and particularly with that truck, it's an odd tire size. So if we had a blowout, there's no hope of having that vehicle ready for the event. There just isn't a spare tire available. Boy, it's got those split rim tires. Those are problematic. We better, I mean, it's good they're all holding air, but, and they're high ply tires, so they'll last a while, but they're
10 ply.
They're mid-life, you know, 10-ply nylons on split rims. Tires from this era, the rims, in order to assemble them easily, they were split. And you can see there's a split right here in it. So there's a tube inside the tire, and you inflate the tube once you got the tire on, but you actually separate this ring, pop the ring off, and you assemble the rim, and then the pressure from the inflated tire holds that tight. And they were made to service well. The risk is, as they age and they rust and they rot, as you inflate the tire, that ring can shoot off. And if you're standing in the way of it, it can tear through your arm or legs. You really got to be careful with older split rim tires. And we'll try to look at this and see if there isn't a way to do a swap out of that or weld it together, something that we can get a different set of tires for it eventually. So we'll advise Fred on maybe some options there. But for now, I mean, they hold air, and he got it here, right? So I mean, they're
you can tell,
they're serviceable.
I mean, looking at them, there's no movement in the lock ring.
Yeah.
The paint's all still solid on there.
They're not going anywhere.
Not for now. No.
So of all the things that could go wrong with a vehicle headed up to the hill climb, it's the tires that I was most concerned about. You know, is the pressure correct? Are we going to make it the whole way? Are they now their 60-year-old tires? Are they going to get there? And are we going to have a blowout somewhere that ruins the day? So I was convinced the vehicle would make it. I wasn't sure about the tires.
But I do know that fuel pipe is in the way of something.
Spark plug wires in here, that matters.
That does matter, yes. That is very much mattering thing.
No such thing as a wireless spark plug.
Yeah, anyway, Bob. Yeah, you want my... my kind of thoughts going through the day as we prepared for getting there, both just vehicle maintenance, making sure we had the gas. A lot of these older vehicles, they're gravity feed fuel systems, so we need to make sure that we've got enough fuel in the tanks when we get there as well. And just hopeful that we don't run into weather of some kind, because it's the difference between a really fun day and a day that you're dodging storms, basically driving a tent around is how these old cars feel sometimes.
It's a beautiful drive. It's beautiful country over there. It's a different experience to see that in like a Model T, or, you know, you almost kind of think about what it was like, you know, almost 100 years ago.
And you notice, you know, every little dip in the road, and you know, you see things. You see a lot more, and you get to enjoy a lot more when you're driving an old car.
There's the hill. I don't know if you can make it out through the windshield there. Yeah, and you can't. I don't think I can see the end of it for the trees near us.
It's gonna go up that.
Yeah, right?
But you can see what's happening in here is the whole, from the starting line on, it's starting to pitch, you know? It's already going up, and then it really ramps up. So it just, you're shifting fast to try to get in a top gear and run it out, but you never get a chance. It just bogs down the way these cars were designed. So it's a really challenging hill.
Well, and then trucks like this chase after you.
If you mess up. I look forward to the hill climb every year. It's you know, more important to me than probably any other holiday. See, the harbor, it's a Model T?
Model T? It'd be right here in F1. All right, what's the name on that, brother?
Chris. And then we've got a 25 Overland. It's a motorsports event with pretty relaxed rules. I mean, all the thing has to be is old, like really old. It has to be pre-World War II. For the most part, there are a few exceptions to that, but that is such a wide range of possibilities.
Do you guys have a pen on you? 8, 9, 19.
Okay, let's do that cars.
So yeah, it has. It's totally awesome.
Well, originally started in 1909, and then it quit during World War II, and then the Lions Club brought it back to life again in 1970, right in that neighborhood, and it's been going ever since, every year.
So lane 1's going to be over on this side.
Okay.
So what we'll try to do early is get the truck.
Is that in the random?
Yeah, the truck and the Willys in the random. And
Oh,
get
really?
The Model T in lane 2.
Okay.
And then we'll be in good position. The Hill Climb is a community of people that are interested in old vehicles, and not just looking at them from an art perspective, but actually seeing them perform, you know, and really, really hit hard on these vehicles going up the hill.
You know, we joke about they spend $10,000 to win a $30 trophy. You know, it's more about bragging rights with them than anything else, but it's also a chance for them to get out and show the car and show what it does, what it was built to do, rather than just, as we say, you go to a car show, you sit up under a shade tree and put your lawn chair out and sit there and lie about, you know, how much time and money I put into this car. But here you get a chance to really show that off.
To see that broader community with the steam engines and the hit and miss engines there too, that community is really great to see as part of the event. And then of course, you know, having a funnel cake or eating an ice cream cone is always a welcome thing on a hot day.
as the chief mechanic, I'm a bundle of nerves that morning, because if they don't start, if, you know, something goes bad, if they don't make it, like, it's kind of on me, right?
So this kind of event, you know, you have kind of an area where you have your vehicles, your support vehicles, and they're several blocks away and off in a field. So when you get right up to the race corral, the area there where all the cars are staging to get going in the race, that's where the car's going to break. It's going to let you down. Something's going to happen.
You know, I had some engine troubles when we got to Homer, and it turned out that the two of the spark plug leads had worked their way out of the distributor, so they were basically like that. Trying to run down the road on 2 cylinders, it really wasn't interested in keeping speed. So Jason was checking to make sure that the plug wires were firmly inserted into the cap, so we were firing on all 4 cylinders.
I've always been, and I guess because I grew up with it, I've just always been a fan of these older cars, and to me, the kind of the older the better, the brass era cars in the teens and the 20s.
No electronics, plenty of room. You could get underneath it easy, and it was really easy. You didn't have to have books. All you needed was to know what the gap was on the valves and on the spark.
Those motors have a different sound. It has a different feel. It has a different smell.
New cars, it's either black or white. You know, it's either a 1 or a 0. Old cars are very tactile, and not everything's just right.
So one of the things we did to this truck while it was in the shop, the exhaust system had been kind of patched together over the years, and it was in pretty sorry shape. So the owner found a new downpipe, muffler, and a tailpipe for it. Part of the repair process was taking this manifold off to get to this. There's threads under this nut that had corroded and changed shape. So we had to take it all apart, take the manifold off of the car, clean all the threads up before we could put it back together. And when we put it back together, there's a copper crush washer that goes in between this cast iron manifold and the block. The initial tightening of the studs that hold the manifold to the block, the manifold hadn't had a time to kind of shrink and grow as it warms and cools. Things loosened up a little bit, so I was just going back tightening the nuts so that we can take care of the exhaust leaks.
And we start going through all the basics. You know, hey, do the tires have air in them? Do they have enough air in them? You know, are all the fluids full? Do we have enough gas? Hey, do we have some spare parts? Let's make sure we got tool rolls ready. Do we have a way to secure a car if something happens on the roadside and we can't fix it?
So we're real excited about this truck today because we've got the owner, Fred. He's coming out to take it up the hill. So it's a big deal to be able to work on this truck for him and then have it ready to go and have fun today. So looking forward to that.
It's always a challenge to drive them. Anymore, it's, you worry about, are you going to get there and you're going to get back? So it's, you just can't call AAA. You get to the starting line and you look at this hill and it just takes off in front of you, and you try and get it up into third gear as fast as you can and get going.
You count 2 rows of hill climb stickers in that back window. 22 years running the Newport Hill. Is that correct? You'll get right with it.
Don't laugh, but smell that smell. That exhaust. Yeah, I kind of like that. I just think they're neat. I mean, the simplicity of it, like these little Model Ts with the kerosene tail lights and the, you know, this thing here with only it's got a gas gauge and an amp gauge there, but that's it. You don't need all these things they put on cars now, and you know, there's no backup camera on here. Yeah, the air conditioning is 240, two windows down at 40 miles an hour.
Well, I guess that's one way to shave a little time off. You put a little balance down once in a while. Now we just had the rest of the cooler and what was in it.
Yeah, I got a better takeoff than I thought. My cooler slid to the back, hit the tailgate, and the lid flew off and landed in the track, which was the first. And then, yeah, the truck ran good, went flying up the hill, and I got a 41 seconds, I think. Not too bad. And I don't try real hard. They're old. I don't want to break stuff. And
We've got several multi-generational families running the hill, and there are several others that it's second or third generation. And it's funny to watch over the years the kids come and they're in the back seat, standing up, looking out the back window, and when Dad's driving up the hill, and then they're sitting in the back seat, and then as they get to be middle school and teenagers, they're sitting in the front seat, and then all of a sudden, one day, Dad's in the passenger seat and the daughter's driving.
Yeah, I remember as a kid, we came here every year. I mean, we barely missed. We never really wanted to be able to miss this. And we actually rode up in the Model A that I drove up today, and we would ride in the rumble seat in the back, me and my sisters, we'd drive up. And so it's pretty cool to go full circle and now be driving the car that I once drove up in as a kid, so.
I just love being around them, just the feel, the smell, and the pride that the owners take in them now. Once they've bought into, this is my car and I'm going to take care of it, and it's going to be perfect.
These are all original fenders, and everything's original in the car. The seats I fabricated. The splash aprons right here, I fabricated all this. But everything else is original Model T parts. It's a stock Model T engine block. Couple add-ons, and got brass up here. Got all my brass.
Yeah, that's beautiful. So these were the tires you got for your graduation then?
Yeah, I got these for my graduation present.
That's awesome.
And then, yeah, went from there.
You're up, Dyson.
Most of these guys, they're from different parts of the Midwest, and for some, the entire United States. And they come here once a year. They see each other. They get to know each other. They get to see other guys who have the same car they have, and maybe have had the same problems fixing them or finding parts, or it's not running right. What am I doing wrong? And there's really a camaraderie there. If some guy has a problem, there's 5 guys there to help him.
Feels good. This thing's running. It's running well. It's running real strong. So idling well. We've got some heat in it, so it's ready to go up the hill. We'll see if we can not completely mess up the shifts and do a good run.
It's a pretty good incline. It's and no matter how fast you start off, by the time you start going up there, you're down in first gear, and floored in first gear, and have the spark all the way retarded, and just watch it lumbering up the hill.
Not sure if they will be back today, but certainly glad to have them here on standby.
You know, one of the challenges with this hill, from the time you take off, it's a slow climb. At first it tapers up, then it gets steeper and steeper, and as you approach the top of the hill, it crests over and the finish line's a bit further. So you have to make a decision towards the top. Are you gonna shift up again and try to get a little bit of extra speed, or are you just gonna chug in the gear you're in and try to get across the line as fast as you can? So that's where your mind is at, thinking about how to go up this hill. It's a 3-speed, so we gotta think, I'll do first, second, and third, and then we'll see how it does. We may have to downshift halfway up the hill and go from there.
All right, straighten up, straight back. Straighten up to the left a little bit, come up. Just a tad. Right there, buddy, you're on it. Ready, Chris?
Yep.
It's all you.
Death wobble. I don't know what's going on. We went up the hill, about halfway up, started doing that death wobble thing, and I straightened it up. I had to downshift into first to finish off the hill, and it's... You know, started out, had a great shift out of first to second. Car felt strong, was running great, and as the center of gravity of the car started to shift and the car started to go up the main part of the hill, the weight transferred back and it revealed a little bit of wobble that turned into what we call a death wobble. And the wheel started whacking me back and forth, and the only way to get out of that condition is to steer with it or against it. And when you steer against it, you kind of correct everything. I tried that once, I tried it twice, and it just wasn't happening. There's a little bit of wiggle, but I mean, maybe that's just enough, you know? The tie rod bushings are just sloppy. It sputtered a little bit, I mean, but it was a death wobble like you would. I was just crushed at that point because we'd had a great run with the Model T. I was hopeful, and that was a 1925 Model T Touring. And of course, the 25 Willys that we were in trying to go up the hill, we hit that death wobble. That was gonna be a real chance to see head-to-head those two cars that were competitors for #1 and #2 volume cars in 1925. Would have been a great kind of comparison to see here so many years later which one performs better on the hill.
There we go.
My duties on race day were essentially to hand Jake or Chris the wrenches that they were asking for as they were underneath the hood trying to fix stuff. You know, that was pretty much it.
You see that joint moving?
Yep.
But the stud's not?
Okay.
We can try tightening that clamp bolt, but I don't know if that's going to get it better.
A lot of anxiety around, is it time for me to go? Is the car ready? Am I gonna mess up and blow a shift as I'm going up the hill and look like a moron? You know, it sounds funny. You're in a car that's lucky to go 30 miles an hour and you're worried about hitting all the shifts.
There's kind of a lot of, you know, buzz that morning. And then then I get I get butterflies in my stomach when the engines start, you know, because okay, it's time, right? You know, it's time to go. Now we see what happens.
Can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad strokes and bright stars through the perilous fight, for the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets in bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Ladies and gentlemen, start your engines.
From time to time today, Taylor Pest Management, Newport Hill, operating engineers, Oxford, number 157. It's only after lunch. Okay, good. Thank you.
Nice little 1926 Chevrolet touring car out of Rockville, Indiana, car number 20. Jeff Marcus sat behind the wheel. He turned the driving of that car over to his son Derek for several years.
And then the garage, I said to my wife, I said, this has to be a Graham Brothers truck. About 2 weeks later, the guy hauled out to the side of the road and it was for sale.
It's remarkable to see something that old, you know, that survives and goes. I mean, it doesn't go fast, but it goes, and it goes every time.
I'd have to ask about the genealogy of Graham, because I don't remember who they folded into. I think they were bought out and folded into another company and another company and another company, and that's kind of how the car business goes. 1926 Graham.
It ran great. Made it to the top 6 years ago, made it to the top this year in the same time, 77 seconds. Two different drivers, same time. Truck ran great.
Ran good, didn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. You know, we started out in first, shifted to second, shifted to third, and we really started bogging down in third, downshifted to second, and finished the hill in second. And then right as we crested it, we actually shifted back into third as we crossed the line. So
yeah, it had a lot of guts to it.
Pretty technical driving on this hill with a straight cut gears, but we had fun.
Got to the hill climb, made it up to the top of the hill, so I had nothing more to prove after that, because there were a lot of them didn't make it up the hill.
It was a special moment to go up the hill with Fred and you know, really experience that truck doing something that you rarely do. You rarely run a thing as hard as you possibly can, particularly up a hill. You're always worried about the fuel systems on these cars actually making it, and it was real nice to see that one make it. And all the repairs we've done really helped us have a good day, you know.
Being a part of that memory for somebody else is makes it all worthwhile. You know, I'm happy to help make those memories every day, and I think that's what we do here at Stone Column. Is, you know, we make memories for people. It's great.
I think the thing about old cars is it's an adventure. It's not just a trip. It's just so much more about the journey than really the destination.